BSc in Veterinary Public Health, PhD in Veterinary Preventive Medicine, and postgraduate diploma in Agriculture Journalism. Over three decades, he has committed to undergraduate and postgraduate education aligned with the One Health specialization and Premier Veterinary University. His international experiences includes organizing study abroad programs from Michigan State University students at AWAM accredited institutions for over 10 years and serving as a faculty at Malaysian University. And now I would like to say a few words about Dr. Thanamal also. Experienced development professional with a demonstrated history of working in the research and development industry, skills in gender research, animal welfare, sustainable development, program evolution, rural development, women empowerment, qualitative and quantitative research, innovation platform, and non-government NGOs. Strong development and research professional with a Doctor of Philosophy, PhD, focused in gender and institutional analysis from Germany. So, with this introduction of all the esteemed panelists, now I will start the panel discussion on animal health. My first question is from Dr. Thanamal Ravichandran. Based on recent zoonotic events such as Nipah or in Kerala and bird flu in the US, what decisions can India draw to strengthen early detection and intersectoral reporting systems?
So good morning to all. If you take Nipah in Kerala, in 2018 they have got 20 deaths. But over the years, past 4 years, only one death, last recent 2 deaths only. How they did is that they acted very fast reporting system they have developed because they learned from 2018 to 2024 how to act reporting system faster. They have strengthened the decentralized reporting system. The local clinicians or rural community workers, medical workers, they reported faster. The second thing what they did is that they try to identify the reservoirs of this bat, the fruit bat, and they try to contain the disease. It's a one example I will say. Other thing is that US or Europe blue tongue disease. In Europe right now, we used to think that blue tongue is eradicated. In recent time, I am hearing from European friends that they are reporting blue tongues identified. How they did is that they are not waiting for the disease to emerge. They try to do the zero surveillance. In the zero surveillance, all the participating farms have participated and they reported willingly. On the other hand, in developing countries, if you report any disease, it's a burden to the work to the animal veterinarians or to the farmers because they cannot sell the milk. So they are not trying to report it. But in European system, they have an incentive system. If you report the disease, you can isolate faster and you can get the incentive for reporting system also. So we need to have a faster reporting system. That's my simple answer to the how we are experiencing between the Western and the developing countries. We have good examples on both sides. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am, for highlighting the significance of the reporting system and how can we incentivize the reporting system for the faster reporting, and how an example from Kerala that how it is important multi-sectoral coordination and identifying the reservoir of the virus. So these are very good examples which give us insights that how can we prevent such kind of outbreaks. Yeah. Now my next question is from Dr. Carmen Cohen. She will be focusing on global and comparative perspectives, climate change, and community empowerment. So, Carmen, how would climate change challenge One Health perspective, and why it is more relevant than before?
Okay, so what I experienced here, you're experiencing climate change much faster even than what we feel in Israel. And there's a lot of things that climate change are in charge of, and zoonotic diseases and other infectious communicable diseases and others. But what I want to talk survive through the human contact. The second thing that is important is the domestic animals. When humans will be displaced, domestic animals will be displaced with them. So I think that with all the things that are important to climate change, this is one of the things that we should focus on when we look at animal welfare, also domestic animals. So what is going to happen when we reach the next destination? I mean, how will these people that used to live with their animals in the known environment before, what will happen when they go to another environment? And in this other environment, they have conflicts also with the hosting environment. So these are things that I think that is very much relevant to One Health. How do we think, how do we make sure that we be prepared for such immigrations, whether local immigrations or even remote immigrations? But this is, I think, that one of the most important things that we have to look for in climate change.
Yeah, thank you, Carmen. Your point, you highlighted the point regarding the immigration and the displacement due to climate change, and it is further burdening the natural resources of that particular area, and it is changing the disease ecology and the variation in the disease epidemiology of that area, and further escalating the disease outbreak. Thank you. Now I would like to ask a question from Dr. Chanchal Bhattacharya. He is having expertise in community-based One Health models and the ethno-medical veterinary medicine. So, Dr. Chanchal, what is your opinion about the role of community cadres like Pashu Sakhis and KVs? How can it be mainstreamed into zoonotic disease surveillance and reporting?
Exactly. Thank you. Initially, I would like to thank Kumara Guru Institution for this opportunity. Basically, the Pashu Sakhi cadre has been introduced in India by the Ministry of Rural Development under NRLM. So, in my opinion, they are the first line of control for zoonotic diseases in the grassroots level in our country. There are certain states where Pashu Sakhis are very active, and Pashu Sakhis are trained for identifying the basics of disease outbreak, then the antimicrobial resistance, ethno-veterinary practice, etc. What exactly they are doing? They are coordinating with the local veterinarians, and they are collecting the data from the field, from the ground level. They visit door by door, house to house, and they are collecting the data from the owners of the animals. If there is anything happened abnormally, then immediately they are trying to grab it, and they are informing the local veterinarians, local experts through different apps. We have developed some apps and through SMS also, so that the immediate intervention can be taken place in the ground level. As an example, there are incidences where anthrax outbreak was there in some of the states, where Pashu Sakhis plays a very important role. They noticed that there is a bleeding from natural orifice of the animal, so they suspected it that it may be a case of anthrax. Then immediately they went to the block level veterinary officers, medical officers, and they formed a team, and they came to the place and investigated. So in my opinion, Pashu Sakhi not only report the diseases, but also they are educating the farmers about the basics of the diseases, including zoonotic diseases. Even they are trained to impart some knowledges about the ethno-veterinary practices of our country, because you know that our ethno-veterinary medicines are quite advanced. So these are the roles basically they are playing, and in my opinion, that when we are talking about the community, Pashu Sakhis are very, very important from community aspect. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for highlighting the critical role of Pashu Sakhis and community-based animal health worker in disease surveillance, because they are very critical. They are reaching to the last mile in far-flung areas, and they have a very important role, and not only in educating about the concept of One Health, but also in identifying the potential threat of the zoonotic diseases or diseases of economic importance. Now I have a question with Gunnar Seelan sir. Given the high importance of the rabies and the dog bite cases reported from Trivandrum district or other part of the country, what studies or interventions are needed to better understand local dog behavior and the ecological factors driving this increasing trend of the rabies or dog bite?
As far as rabies is concerned, quite an elaborate topic which needs a lot of time that's given us a few seconds. So let me tell you the recent trend that we are seeing as far as rabies is concerned is taking a backstage, and what comes before now in front is the changes in dog behavior. The street dogs, for a decade back, we are not hearing much of bite incidents, but now we seem to have a drastic change in behavior of some dogs. And it's not actually the rural district. It's almost throughout the state of Tamil Nadu, throughout the country we hear this. But after doing a lot of searches, I found that the dog has a natural behavior of aggression. And everyone maybe seems to think that sterilizing the dog reduces the testosterone level and then it becomes very docile. No, it doesn't happen that way. It's only hardly about 10% of the dog which, when sterilized, they become docile. The remaining 90% maintain their natural characters. Now, deep researching into this, I found there was a lot of something to do with the brain. The brain is actually the person, the actual architect of aggressive behavior. See, there are several kinds of behaviors: affectionate behavior, territorial behavior, saving its young ones, and all those kind of things. But the most important thing that I see now, as far as totally India is concerned or our state is concerned, is predatory behavior, which is very dangerous, seems to be very dangerous. And I understand that several hormones play a role, particularly serotonin and vasopressin. Vasopressin is a normal hormone which is known as the antidiuretic hormone. And the higher levels of vasopressin initiates very aggressive behavior. Serotonin goes down, you find it. So you need a large-scale study to really find out why this aggressive behavior is happening in our stray dogs. And everyone think only rabies there is bite. Rabies actually, yeah, it is one reason for aggressive behavior, because it's the hypothalamus which initiates the aggressive behavior. The hippocampus, where the rabies virus is supposed to multiply, inhibits that aggressive behavior. But in the case of rabies, what happens is the hippocampus is involved, it does not inhibit the hypothalamus. As a result of which you find very severe aggressive behavior and biting. And many people think that every time a rabid dog will bite. No, it's not the case. It always coincides with multiplication in the brain. So that is the time when sort of gnawing experience that the dog has. I have several images to show you that. And the furious form of rabies or the biting tendency happens, coincides with the multiplication in the brain. Otherwise, most of the time it remains calm, and most of the time when it bites, the saliva is supposed to have only 70% of the saliva or the bite is supposed to be infectious. Because all the time you don't see the virus coming into saliva and residing there. Saliva is not a very good medium for the rabies virus to survive for a very long time also. So these are the areas, most of the reports of rabies are in vitro studies. So we need to really find out. We have done some anti-mortem studies with regards to rabies under observation, and we found really about over 2 years of study, we did not find rabies excretion all the time in the saliva. So I'm not telling the letter rabies dog bites. It's not for that, but you see there's a lot of lacunae in the work with regards to rabies.
sensor that we need to understand. And most important now is the kind of predatory behavior that is going on. And they say that dogs have neurocognition and they identify faces. Therefore, this kind of thing needs a larger study in order to understand behavioral patterns in stray dogs particularly, even pet dogs. And every time a dog bites, we do not think it's because of rabies. So we need to find out, and immunization is a very important thing that rabies is 100% preventable, but 100% fatal. So two contradictory statements. As soon as we immunize a dog, please note the point, I do not say vaccination, I am telling immunization. Vaccination is the act of giving the vaccine. Immunization is the act of developing antibodies to the vaccine. And once a dog is immunized, then that dog is safe. But usually what happens whenever they have, there are misunderstandings and misinterpretations with regards to rabies. A vaccinated dog is completely, and an immunized dog is completely protected. That doesn't mean a vaccinated dog is protected. I don't know. If the immunization has been done properly, then the dog is protected at least for a minimum period of 1 year. Okay. So these are various nuances in rabies that needs to be sorted out. Clear the air as far as findings are concerned with behavior and things like that. And rabies is a preventable disease. That's one big advantage that we have. The most important thing about rabies is it's a neurotrophic virus. It has a neuronal invasion. It causes a lot of neuronal dysfunction, but it never damages the neurons in any way. That's the most important thing with regards to rabies. That's the most interesting pathophysiology of rabies that we need to understand. But it's going to be a real challenge for this 0 by 2030. That's going to be a real challenge for us to get this rabies out of dog-mediated rabies. We need to overcome. That's going to be a real challenge. Can we do it before 2030? I don't know. So we need to really work. It's again One Health just really coming to the picture.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing your experience about the dog behavior, the behavioral ecology, and the disease ecology of rabies. So there is further research is warranted in this aspect to understand the dog behavior and the epidemiology of the rabies. Now, I will not be able to take further questions due to the paucity of the time. Now, I would like to summarize the insights shared by our esteemed panelists. So, there is a need to enhance the disease surveillance system for detecting the different disease outbreak. But for that, we need to learn from the experiences of the different countries, like the experience of the European countries. Like we need to incentivize the smallholder farmers so that they can participate in the disease investigation or disease reporting systems. Then only we will be able to timely detect the disease outbreak and prevent infections. And we need to work in a collaborative manner, as we learned from the Kerala example of Nipah, during handling of the Nipah outbreak. So intersectoral coordination is the key, and for that institutionalization needs to be strengthened at a different level. Climate change is the biggest challenge, which is changing the disease ecology and the behavior of the virus and the interaction with the host species, host and the environment and the pathogen. So we need to strengthen our systems, and we need to create awareness so that we can prevent the losses from the climate changes. And the role of the community-based animal health workers like Pashu Sakhis is very critical in creating awareness pertaining to the zoonotic diseases and the overall operationalization of the One Health concept. And there is a lot of further research is warranted to understand the dog behavior and the dog ecology so that we can prevent the rising cases of dog bite and the rabies in our country. Now, I would like to request to all the panelists to share final reflections on bridging the policy, science, and grassroots practices. Just summarizing one or two sentences. Or just final reflection of overall of this discussion?
If we are summarizing the recommendations, you see, initially the main thing is intersectoral coordination for controlling One Health approach in our country. Because what we observed that intersectoral coordination is lacking. Number two, the community involvement. The community should be involved and the One Health approach must start from the community itself. If we are ignoring community and if we are talking about the capacity building of laboratory and other things, then the One Health approach will not be succeeded. Number three, definitely there must be upliftment of district level laboratories where the zoonotic pathogens can be identified. Because if there are some master projects are going on in 6 states, you know, through World Bank aid, and the main emphasis is to uplift the laboratory capacities in this state government level. Number 4, one thing I would like to mention here, nobody has mentioned it, that is the strengthening of wildlife health aspect. The most neglected thing is wildlife health. In respect of wildlife health, there is no coordination, there is no special laboratory, there is no proper training, and the lack of coordination between the animal husbandry department and wildlife department. Because the wildlife departments are sometimes hiring some veterinary doctors, even who are not properly trained to deal with wildlife animals. So here I have advocated a lot about it, that we must take a concrete step for the coordination between wildlife department, Ministry of Environment and Forest, Ministry of Animal Husbandry and Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Because we are predicting that the next pandemic may arise from wildlife. So in this nutshell, this is a summary of our discussion. I am very grateful to my all colleagues and you, of course, that you have provided this opportunity to discuss this matter. Due to scarcity of time, we may not be able to continue.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your reflection. Now I request Dr. Karvik to say a few final words, your reflection.
Okay, so I agree with Doctor very much about the institutional coordination and the coordination between government and academic and the community. But for this special place here, what I think is that this here is a very, very good opportunity for our countries or the academy in our countries to collaborate, because what's happening in this college is that, especially biotechnology, but all the other discourses and focuses that I've learned to have in this place is like the real thing for the innovation in One Health. So there's a lot of what we call the opportunity to do things with you that takes place like in biotechnology and also in monitoring, spatial monitoring. I heard that there is a lot of abilities here. So my take-home message is that, first of all, I'm very happy that this conference, this international conference took place, and I really hope that between us and this college, a new groundbreaking innovation of One Health will take place.
Thank you, Karvik. Now I request Dr. Kunal Sehgal sir to summarize the discussion.
Yeah, there's a lot of work, like you were telling, wildlife interface plays an important. Sentinel animals, like that's very important. Like they have the hedgehog, which indicates a lot of pollutants and things like that. There are a lot of sentinel animals that needs to. For example, in the case of anthrax, they have recently established that the soil amoeba can amplify the spores. So these kind of studies, animals act as sentinels. You know, like you have the canary, which is taken into a cave for the poisonous gases. there are several sentinels, even animals can act as indicators of earthquakes. This is another area, important area of study that needs to be done. With regards to, again, coming back to rabies and behavior, there needs to be a lot of work to really understand this kind of strange behavior that is going on now in the last couple of years, particularly in stray dogs. See, for example, there are, in Tamil Nadu state, there are about a little over 4.8 lakh bites, dog bites that has happened in the last, in 2024. The number of cases of rabies is only 43. If I say one only, it's a misnomer, but I just wanted to tell you, it's nearly 1 in 10,000 bites only cause rabies. So that means you find that all bites are not rabid bites. So you need to really go into this aggressive behavior a little more deeply, understand it without getting into a panic situation. We need to understand what's really going on with regards to this thing. And as far as India is concerned, there's no, as far as zoonotic diseases are concerned, they always tend to exist in some form or the other. So we always use the word endemic. Emerging, it can, but endemic disease, there are plenty that we need to see. For example, very simple thing like cell-stored zoonosis, like your cysticercosis, neurocysticercosis. They say that 30% of active epilepsies, you find they are possibly due to neurocysticercosis, mostly in the northeastern part of India. It was a real eye-opener for me. When I was present in Michigan, I was bombasting about tuberculosis and things like that. But finally, one person asked me, don't you have cysticercosis in India? So I thought, oh, cysticercosis, when we were students, we have heard. But now it's a neglected zoonosis. So there's a lot of problems with it. And as far as India is concerned, most of our zoonosis are neglected. For even rabies, you need to do a lot more work as far as most of these zoonotic diseases are concerned. And we all need to come into a One Health platform, because it's only the One Health platform exemplifies the most important thing for One Health, because it's a pathogen which is the center, and all around the human, animal, and environment play a very important role. I'm not telling zoonosis is the only thing, but this is one platform where everyone can come together and provide their inputs in order to bring about a comprehensive control protocols. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request to Dr. Kannamal Ravichandran to say final word and conclude this animal health panel discussion.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would like to be so short. Like, if any outbreak in Gujarat or Odisha in a cat or a goat, it should be reported into the human health system also, not only the animal health system, so that we can able to trace it. I saw Tarang, who is a veterinarian, but he is teaching the medical people. What is the innovation we need is that how to blend the courses. Right now, in developing countries, in India, the courses are for veterinarians are veterinary related. Medical people are studying medical related. How to blend some courses in institutions like Kumaraguru or any other institutions, maybe BGU and Kumaraguru can think of a blended course, one veterinarian coming and studying here for 1 or 2 years to serve the public health system. That is the second biggest thing I will think of. Third thing is the investments. So right now we are thinking of more and more investments from the public sector for One Health research and all. To take an example of Coimbatore, many industrialists are very much interested to support investment for research on the One Health aspect, especially on the water health, waste management. Dog is a sentinel being which is the main for indicating the waste management. Right now, sir told that there is a new research I used to think for reviewing that how this dog is behaving like this. Is it related to the waste management? Human are deviating the food system right now. We are not following our own food system. Right now we are predicting the things. These things has to come to the developing countries also. I foresee long collaborative efforts we can do with the BGU and Kumaraguru institutes, not only Kumaraguru, but the government also. We can connect. That's the way I am seeing that how we can collaboratively work on that. Thank you very much for this panel discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to all the panelists. That was a truly vital exchange.
Does the audience has any questions? One or two questions could be better. Because we should give chance to audience also.
Respected panelists, I'm finally a veterinary student. I have a few doubts that in case of antimicrobial resistance, we talk about antibiotic withdrawal period in case of milk and meat. If an animal is infected by any disease or anything, we are giving an antibiotic. Or these withdrawal period are actually followed by the farmers, or their antibiotic course are actually continued by the farmers properly. Because after if they feel something is mildly recovering, they will stop calling a veterinarian, my cow is fine, goat is fine like that. So what are the steps need to be taken?
So here I see like a global experience. Right now in developing country we are not following the withdrawal period. Milk is given to the cooperatives or to the private. When the milk is being mixed with all, it's diluted, so not, but it's a huge implications. If you take the global experience, Europe is incentivizing for withdrawal period and discarding the milk. They have the incentivization not for outbreak or not for using. Every liter of milk, there is an incentive for withdrawal. That's happening in Europe. Like that, how we incentivize our farmers can help to solve this issue, but it's a huge issue. Because not only animal, human I say, human also, the animals we are using broad spectrum sometimes by veterinarians. It's a killer. We should not do the broad spectrum. If you take in European countries or Western countries or some countries, they do the test and give the antibiotic which is needed to that bacteria. That's also one of the things. Thank you very much for that question.
Just a little addition. Not only the use of antibiotic in stock animals is not only for diseases. They use as growth promoters. They use as preventive. So the antibiotics are in the stock already much before the disease, and that's where antibiotic resistance develops. When you give the animal the antibiotics without the specific needs, the bacteria, which is even in very small communities or population, they grow. The population of the bacteria grow, and they can buy the antibiotics. So there are like the stopping of the antibiotics, or not the stopping, but the control, the regulation should be before the antibiotics reaches the farm. And I know that this is one of the problems in Israel, because it's either it can be regulated with a veterinarian or a medical doctor, but the antibiotics can be bought without the prescriptions, and I think this is one of the places where it's a loophole.
It's happening in India.
Yes. One thing I would like to add. OTC should be stopped in our country. Okay? No antibiotic should be given without prescription by a registered veterinary doctor or by a registered medical doctor. Here, it is an open market. You go to the chemist shop, you obtain whatever the antibiotics you want. But this practice should be stopped, and a strict regulatory mechanism should be imposed in our country. At least I am concerned about my country. Thank you.
Just one more. In regards to withdrawal periods, just before coming here, I had a discussion with the major poultry producers in and around Coimbatore. So they were quite aware of AMR. They are quite aware of AMR, and the withdrawal periods they follow. See, where the fun starts is as soon as they sell their birds to the retail market. I was given to understand that the retail market or the vet markets, they provide antibiotics to the chickens. So because they want the chickens to survive for a couple of weeks or so. So that's another area where this residue level can come. See, there are two things. One is antimicrobial resistance, the second is antibiotic residues. these two things are quite different from each other. So, and like he says, unregulated prescription. See, I have seen most of the patent drugs being sold by human pharmacies. They don't really know what, either way, there's a lot of difference. And doctor's prescription, as we all joke about, is not legible. So, it just anybody who is not a kind of qualified pharmacist usually does not dispense medicines in many of our pharmacies. So, this is another important thing that we need to think about as far as antimicrobial resistance. Actually, antimicrobial resistance is happening for thousands of years in the environment. What we are just trying to understand is a different perspective, because all the antibiotics, or most of the antibiotics, are produced only by organisms. We all know where penicillin comes from, we all know where tetracycline comes from. And this, all the pathogens that are shed into the environment, they react and they develop resistance. This has been going on for quite some time. We have just started to identify on a major scale. So we need to develop a lot of repositories of pathogens. The GARP, or the Global Antibiotic Resistance Partnership in India, we need to, even they accept that we do not have any surveillance data on antibiotics. So poultry farmer cannot just like that say stop antibiotics. Because after a few weeks, 6th week, if he has to produce and send out the bird, and if you tell him to stop antibiotics totally, and if he's not going to get that 2 kilos or 2.5 kilos, who's going to give that loss? Who's going to overcome that loss? So we need to come out with real strategic surveillance with regards to whether it's really existing or not. There's a sudden hype about cholesterol being there. And in our findings, we never found Campylobacter resistant to this cholesterol at all. It was easily susceptible. It's a small study that we made, but it was susceptible. Therefore, we need to develop from the human side as well as from the animal side. If there is resistance, get out that resistant organism, put it into a repository, compare it, let's find out whether it really exists. So instead of just openly telling ABR, we need to find out how far is it. Even there's a lovely article in the Hindu day for yesterday on antibiotics and this thing. So we need to really work on many things. And one else again going to be a real.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Now we have to close this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So the other questions can be asked to the panelists during the lunchtime due to the time constraint. And now we take this moment to give the